It's the end of the first quarter. Did you make it? We'll talk about it right after this. Oh, yeah. Good morning. It is Friday, the 89th day of the year. Let's see. It's Friday, April 20, or March 29th, not April 29th. It's the end. It is the end. This is the end. It is the end of first quarter. I mean, not technically for a couple of days, but if you got that one last load put in, you're good to go. Let's see. I was surprised yesterday, and maybe it's because I made it a point to get home for Easter, because the kids and all that. But I was surprised to see how many 3 and 4 and 500-mile loads were picking up yesterday and not delivering until Monday. I was really surprised by that. Meaning that some places weren't going to be taking customers on Friday. Today's Good Friday. So that really surprised me. It's like every now and then something surprises me when it comes to booking freight. I was helping a driver yesterday, and I was coming across that on a lot of loads. And it's like, so we end up picking a load that got him home that he'll deliver on Monday, so he'll get some time at home. But anyways, all's well that ends well, I guess. But yeah, it was kind of interesting. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of customers out there still working today, but it just kind of surprised me. And it'd be interesting to see if brokers answer their phones today. Not that I have anybody to book right now. Everybody's trucks are down, so that's kind of the deal. So, but yeah, today's Good Friday, and if that's what you believe, then you're that's what you're doing. So, anyways, good morning. Hope all is well, and yeah, let's take a look. Now, another interesting thing is that I was seeing a lot of $3 mile freight to go from the Midwest to Baltimore area. Obvious reasons, so that actually has, that little prediction has come true. I did predict that rates would have to go up going into Baltimore, and there was one load going to Sparrows Point that was paying really good, and Obviously, Sparrows Point, you're going to take a pretty good round trip around Baltimore to get to it if you're coming from the east or from the west. I'm sorry. Got my sense of direction off. The other thing I wanted to talk about was I don't remember. I have these talking points that I like, make a mental note. Well, obviously my mental notepad is, a little full. It's equivalent to my desk. It's full of crap that it's not even important to me. So, anyways, hope all is well. We'll read some comments and we'll look at the load board stuff. We'll take a look at what loads are paying going into Baltimore right now. Let me get both my load boards up here. Now, I do have some access to Truck Stop. But I was reading on Facebook yesterday that Truck Stop was down, but I have not really dived into it other than looking at flatbed freight, which I heard is where its strong points are compared to the DAT. Also, I was running across, there was a posting from TQL, but the email address was a Gmail address. So, you got to keep an eye on the fraud is still pretty rampant. And as DIY pointed out in his video, that the FMCSA is just there's nothing we can really do except acknowledge. And Pale Rider, go check out his channel. He did a video about the FMCSA possibly lowering the requirements to get your CDL. And so we have no control over that. Now they're saying that there's a comment period that you can do. You've got X amount of time to put in your comments. And if you guys are paying attention, for the last 10 years, every time they're getting ready to make a big change, they allow a comment section, but it doesn't. It means they're just we were totally transparent, and we allowed people their input, but they still made a decision ELDs, the 14-hour rule, all that stuff. The ELD. I think the only change that came about due to comments was the flexibility of the 7-3 split. Which all it did was add 3 more hours for the people that have no choice in the matter, right? So, and then I'm also hearing a lot of reports from people applying for us and other small carriers that a lot of these mom and pop carriers that have 1 or 2 or 3 trucks are forcing, I hate the word force, but they're telling their drivers to unplug the ELD and get it done. And that's another sign of a down market is desperate measures, right? People do desperate measures. They'll unplug that ELD or they'll use PC in the wrong way. And that's becoming more and more prominent because it gives them an edge over the other carrier that's doing everything legal by the book. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. That's your competition or the people that are cheating at the game. And, they're stealing your fuel, they're unplugging their ELD, or they'll just use the PC or the weather exemption and abuse it. And then as long as they don't get caught, they're going to continue doing it. And so just know that a lot of that is being rampant right now because we're getting some applicants that have claimed that that's what, the carriers are making them do. So. But anyways, let's see. Let's go over the comments here, and then we'll go over the load board. So other than that, I talked to Shannon Thomas yesterday, and she told me all about what happened at Matt's and who she saw and all that. It was great to hear the stories. And I heard from Randy, who's in the chat here. Also heard from him on what Matt's was like, and of course, DIY and I talked about it Monday. I missed the show and I wish I could have gone, but the trip to Arkansas was good in and of itself. It was very meaningful for my wife, so I'm glad we were able to do that. as well. So there's no regrets. I'm not going to the show, but I would like to go next year. So, all right, STTN. Good morning. Hope all is well, and hope your load picked up okay yesterday. JF Trucker. Good morning. Southbound Pachyderm. What's up? Charity. Good morning. Hope you're doing okay. Did that mill light ever go off yet? So, Desert Okie Pam. Good morning. TK. I think you told me that the other day. TK, hey now. Jose, good morning. Randy, good morning from Clarksville, Arkansas. I've been there a few times. There's a great, and I mean great in the sense that it reminds me of the old school. There's a great old school truck stop there right outside that Walmart DC. They charge $10 park now, but it reminded me of the old days, including with the independent shop that was next to it and the old restaurant that's in there. I don't know if the restaurant is still there. I hope it's there. But it was one of the few restaurants that was still open during the vid when I was driving. And it's not the cleanest place, but it's definitely got some old school charm to it. So, WCF Invader, do not neglect your after treatment system. Long story short, apparently my truck has not been regenerating for the past month or two. The DPF filter is black. Luckily, it was not damaged. Good deal. Yeah, see, here's the thing. They've built the motors to go up past 1 million miles, right? But that DPF filter, number one, if you're getting a used truck, get it with a new DPF filter right off the bat. Just do it right off the bat. Number two, it needs maintenance every so many miles after, just like anything else, just like your oil changes, just like, your coolant system, whatever. It is just as important to maintain that as much as you maintain your engine, because that is what's costing you money. If you blow your motor, that's what, 60 grand one time, but that DPF, that can nickel and dime you for quite a while. And most people's solution is, well, just delete it. Well, the government's cracking down on that. We had a local tow truck driver that deleted half of his trucks and is now in jail. So, and if it's not deleted properly, then you could damage your engine. And if your truck's under warranty, you're SOL. You can't really delete it, can you? So if you have a PACCAR, it's a little bit harder to find mechanics that work and can do the computers on the PACCAR. So maintaining your DPF system, especially if you have a Freightliner, especially if you idle a lot, especially if you do a lot of empty moves or light loads. So if you take a Freightliner and do nothing but light loads for the next 3 months, that DPF system is going to be like, hey, this is not cool. Or if you work I know a person that works in food grade tank, a lot of their miles, half their miles are usually empty. And so that's hard on the DPF system too. So there's no real weight for the engine to work to really kind of burn that crap out. So just keep that in mind. And Freightliner likes to do all theirs at once with that one box, and then of course the PACCARs and the other motors like the nickel and dime on that stuff. So Mrs. A says good morning. Gary Cook says good morning. Pale Rider, coffee in the Sunshine State. Well, that's appropriate, right? JF Trucker, you can go hang out with him. He's in Florida. Old School Trucking, morning Snorelord and chat. TC Boggs, lowering the requirements. Well, knowing English sure as heck isn't a requirement any longer. Yes, they are not enforcing that. And to me, it's a safety issue because, well, I'll give you an example. So I had an old friend tell me that he came across an accident, and there was 2 drivers from Somalia that obviously were the cause of the accident. And they could not speak a word of English, and there were urgent stuff that had to be done. They had to rescue the person out of the car, and I mean, it was just a bad deal, and the inability to communicate became a safety issue. And to me that's important. I don't know, but what do I know? I'm just a dude with a YouTube channel. I don't even own a truck anymore. What do I know? So, here in Finland, Europe, afternoon coffee, good Easter time. People here online. Thank you, Samuel. Cool Truckin' is in the house. The issue is there is no level of English. It can't, you read, stop, yield, no turn. It's can you read? That, and you're also supposed to be able to take direction from a law enforcement officer, which I remember the one and only time that I've got an overweight ticket was actually in Joplin, Missouri. There's a story there, but we won't get into it now. But I had one DOT officer looking over my logs. It was back in the paper log days, so that's how long ago it was. And the other DOT officer was literally yelling at this Mexican driver who did not understand him. And I wanted to say to the DOT officer, dude, he can't understand English. He's not deaf, because he kept talking louder like that was going to solve the problem. And you could tell the dude was getting irate with him. And it was just, there was a frustration point there. And also interesting note, they listen on the CB radio for people to go, yep, coops are open or coops are closed. And then, what they do is they flip the line on there. So, but anyways, Missouri's notorious for that. Anyways, it was interesting to see this guy lose it. Now, yesterday, the wife and I were in Lowe's. I almost said Love's. Lowe's. And every announcement that they did a secondary announcement in Spanish. I thought that was interesting. So, though there's a segment in trucking that knows English and cannot do that. Says TC. Good morning, Shannon. She says, good morning, everyone from Illinois, heading homeward for Easter. 7 hours delayed delivery. Thanks, shipper, for overloading me on a tight schedule. Yes. She called me, or she texted me with all kinds of scale tickets, from the CAT scale. And, yeah, they overloaded her. So, that's not hard. That's what she said. TQL has a ton of loads lately that have Gmail contacts instead of a post ID and the normal phone number. However, if you call, they will talk to you about the load. Not sure what's going on. It's possible that the agents are trying to do things away from the office. I don't know. I just know that I do not trust a broker with a Gmail account. There was one brokerage I looked up, and they were green. They were approved with Thunder, and they had a Gmail address for their invoicing. I thought, well, that's very odd. That's very strange. That's very rare that a legitimate broker would actually use a Gmail. Like spend the extra $5 a month to take Gmail and put your, that's what Don's done. He's got Evler.net. That's right. So he doesn't, but it's a Gmail account, so you can do that with Gmail. You can create your own deal there. And I highly recommend drivers, you small companies, one truck operations do that, because I'm telling you, I've had to, I've been using the same Gmail address for years since I've been in the spot market. And when Jeff made me safety manager, he gave me a liketrucking.com address. He's actually given me a couple of them. And I've had to revert to using it only because they don't trust the Gmails and the Yahoos anymore. So, that's just the reality of this situation. CDN Freight Broker says, good morning, Steve. Now, speaking of CDN, he has a really good interview on his channel. I listened to part of it until I was called and interrupted, but I was listening to part of it. It's CDN's got some interviewing skills. So, old school morning Shannon says, morning Shannon. Also, you'll have shippers that'll do that, overloading. Yep. Yeah, it's funny. I was sitting there talking on the phone, and I was looking at the Samsara, and I noticed that she'd been sitting a while. I was like, why is it taking so long for them to load you? And she's like, well, I'm here early. And they got her loaded fairly quickly, except for the fact that they overloaded her. So, nope, still have the line up, but it could also be because of that sensor in my def tank, too. It's running good, though. Well, that's good. Trucking with T-Bone, good morning. Old School Trucking says hi, T-Bone. DIY should join you on these topics. He should, but he's a very busy man. Old School Trucking with T-Bone. Everybody saying hi. Wheelburner, good morning. TC says, to have your CDL, you must be able to speak and read English at a sufficient level. Sufficient is defined as speaking and reading English well enough to converse with the general public. And that's definitely not being followed. Morning Sage says CDN, understand traffic signs and highway signals in English, respond to official inquiries, and make reports and records in English. Or make reports and records in English. 44 in here, 12 likes. Please hit the like. Southbound says this is why we need a one world government and one world language. We need to go back to the days of Babel. No, I don't think about that. I was in Canada, got pulled over by French speaking. It was hard, but we ended up speaking Spanish. LOL. Is Convoy back in business? Gary Cook, that's a great question. So, a friend of mine sent me an email he got from Flexport and said, hey, the app is now open. So I went and actually re-downloaded the app, and it remembered me. I didn't even have to put in my password, and you know, I don't know if I can actually book freight, because here's the thing. I can't even find their MC number. Comes up as incomplete. I don't know. Something about the MC number doesn't jive with Thunder. Maybe because it's a freight forwarder instead of a freight broker. But there were no loads. Like, I was looking in all these different areas. There was 0 loads. So I don't know if there's something that Jeff has to turn on or what, but yeah, the Convoy, it looks exactly like it did, and so I have the app now, but I haven't done anything with it. Like, not that I would do anything with it, but yeah, I mean, it's when you look at the terms. The terms of usage or whatever that you have to sign, you see it says freight brokerage on it. Like, I don't know how they're not getting. I'm not a technical guy, so there's a lot probably going on that I don't know about. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a bankruptcy lawyer, but I imagine that if you're a carrier that Convoy owes a lot of money to, and for them to send you that email, hey, you ought to come back, that should be a slap to the face, especially if the amount that they owed you puts you out of business. So, nice move, Mark. Whatever works, right? Well, English is the new Latin. It's the closest language we have to universal that we have. Heck, to be a pilot in the world, you have to be fluent in English. That's true. TC Box in Canada, you don't even need to know how to speak or read English to get your CDL. They will give you the test in whatever language you speak. This needs to change. People are getting hurt. Yeah, I mean, you can take your driver's license test in Spanish here at the DMV in Springfield. So, the Hool, what's up? TC Boggs, learn from the official language of America, Spanish. That's horrifying. I'm trying to imagine driving another country with a completely foreign alphabet and not knowing the language. Yeah. Can you imagine trying to drive in like Japan or a place like that, or Finland? Language apps will become like hearing aids. Yeah, that's true. I've already had to do that. There was one time I was at Procter & Gamble in Wilmer, Texas. I was in there. It was practically a Schneider terminal, so I was in and out there quite a bit. Good paying loads coming out, and there was a Spanish driver, and she was trying to tell him, you know, at that Procter and Gamble, you have to slide your tandems back before you even approach the gate. He didn't do that because the sign says do it before you approach the gate. He didn't do that. And then the idea is that you have to drop your trailer in a slot or in a door. You know, if you're doing a drop and hook like Schneider, you're dropping it in a slot. But if you're dropping it in a door, you have to drop the trailer in the door, disconnect, and then park in the bobtail area. And this guy could not understand a word that this shipper receiver was trying to tell him. And so I actually got on Google and I said, how do I say go to door 48, drop your trailer in Spanish? Boom. And I showed him the phone. And then I go, how do you say disconnect from the trailer and go to the bobtail area in Spanish? Click. Showed him the phone, and then he understood at that point. And like, wow. How does he find his way? You know, probably 100% relying on a GPS in Spanish-speaking mode, but like not being able to read signs or whatever, that would be freaky. You know, that's like me going to drive a truck in Japan, or worse yet, like, well, yeah, I can't think of anything worse, right? So, concerning the language problem, my wife has friends that work at Hefty Reynolds. They're paying their English-speaking employees to learn Spanish so they can interact with the other associates. One time I had to help someone who was Russian understand English through an English to Russian translation. Yeah. And I almost got my hood taken out from a guy that was, I don't know if he was Russian, Ukrainian, or what, but it was literally, he told me it was literally his first day driving. I'm like, first day driving ever? And dude, he drove like it was his first day driving ever. Like he couldn't even do it was at Costco in Morris, Illinois. And so there's like 3 empty spaces and he starts to turn. You can't see my hands. He starts to turn, and I had to hit the air horn. Luckily, I was in the front seat. That's why when I'm at shippers, receivers, I don't get in the sleeper unless I know that there's no chance of me getting hit. And he stopped, and he looked at me like, oh, sorry. Like it was just a nonchalant thing. He was driving a container. So I get out because obviously this dude's going to need help. You know, I said, what door? And he goes, door? I said, what? Which? And he points at the door next to me. I'm like, okay. So I told him, go that way and then just go straight back. That's all he had to do. So he had to back up and then go forward. And then all I had to do is straight back. It's so easy to deliver there in Morris, Illinois at Costco. First day. And it took me and another driver in about 15, 20 minutes for him to just pull up and then back straight back. Pretty scary stuff. Road signs are universal for the most part. I don't know why they want to pay Spanish-speaking employees to learn English. That's beyond me. Well, you know. No turning on red outside some parts of USA, though. Wheelburner says, TC, you should be horrified because they're bringing loads from Canada into the U.S. If they can't read English sign in Canada, how do you think they're going to do it in the U.S.? We turn on red, yo. We also don't like your European roundabouts. Dude, I had an accident with 2 guys from China. They didn't know a lick of English between the two of them. They were pantomiming to the cop trying to write a report. It was completely ridiculous. I watched 2 Somalis take out the cement barrier at the Come and Go truck stop here in Springfield. There was I've got video of it because it was on my dash cam and it's on my Facebook memories, but like he literally just like started turning right out of the fuel island and took out the cement thing, and oh man, it was a mess. During war times, they created alphanumeric alphabet characters, so no confusion. I am sure over a cup of coffee, we can create a complete alphanumeric language. Springfield in English. Spring is I'm not even. The Whool barely knows English himself. Although he does a great Elvis impersonation. Or no, he does a great Hick impersonation. Like, so if you want to hear the Whool speak clear English, have him talk like he's from a hick town, and his English will actually be clear. That was one of the greatest joys in Zello when I was on the Zello. In the closet says, we wonder how Snorelord finds his way even comprehending English. Music should be universal language. G minor for yes, F sharp for no. How has the bridge of collapse affected freight out of Baltimore? That's a good question. We'll get into that. Good morning from Portland, Oregon, says Sterling. Sterling, I'm going to send you a song I think you'll like. AI will convert you to English to Spanish in my earbud, and then Spanish to English to my phone, where it will use AI voice for you to hear. That's interesting. I think he'd secretly been driving a year, but first day was only a phrase he knew in English. Pigtail says, yo, haven't talked to you in a minute. Hope you're doing all right. I like the streetlights in Mexico. They flash green to yellow before red. Huh. I've only been in Mexico once. It was in Nogales, and I was a kid. And that's all I remember about it. It was hot. Because, it's the desert. So, good morning, Snorelord, and everybody from sunny, warm AZ, says Scorpion Trucker. I delivered this morning, then off for about a week. Truck goes in the shop on Monday for PM and annual inspection. Cheers. Good deal. Whool is a legend. In MFG, there's an ongoing competition who does the best Whool while saying famous movie quotes. NFG is deemed Monday to be April Whool's Day. Oh, that's funny. All right. Let's look at 1, 2, 3 low board here. Actually, let's also take a look at load ratios out of Maryland. 179 in and only 74 out. So maybe the rates won't be like killer coming out of Baltimore. So Baltimore's actually red here. No, Maryland. No, that was Delaware, sorry. Maryland is actually green. $1.35 a mile, $1,000 to come out of Arcola, Illinois. So this is what we did Wednesday. We looked at we'll do it highest rate, and then we did inbound and then outbound. This is outbound, Baltimore to Firestone, Colorado, $231 a mile, $3,900. That's actually not bad for Maryland. Let's take a look at that one. But again, you're going to want to map this out. You're going to want to know where the customer is, because if you're on the bottom end of Baltimore, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess all the way around, really, because the top end's going to be all where all the traffic is. But they're at 39. They're above cargo chief. So, oh, it's flatbed. Oh, I need to change this here. Hold on. I screwed up. I did not put it on van. So that $1.35 was a flatbed load. Incredible. Incredible. Okay, so Maryland is yellow on the van world. $1.79 to go from Baltimore, Rosemount, Minnesota. 2,000. Let's see. Let's do. Yeah, we've got my highest rate still. $1.43, $1.46, $1.66. So they're not paying to come out still. So that hasn't really changed, but let's look at inbound. Now, out of Washington, of course, it's going to be $1.25. So let's do highest rate per mile. Let's get rid of that crap. $6.18 a mile. That's PA to Queenstown. Let's see, 455, a lot of 400, 600 deals. And we did the math last week. Like, we take this Bellwood, PA, ISG Transportation Inc., They've got 720 or 750 on this. It doesn't pick up till next week. Delivers next day. Picks up at 12 p.m. Delivers 7 a.m. 216 miles. Cargo Chief's got 772. They're at 750, so they're not too far below. It's bags. And let's look at tolls. Is there a toll? Well, toll costs only $12. That's not too bad. $161 in fuel. So after fuel and percentage and tolls, you're going to make $426. Now, if you're able to do a load that delivered in the morning and pick this one up, it'd be tough to double your money on that on another load. So, $331 a mile to go from Ohio to Frederick. So that's actually pretty good. Let's take a look at this one. $1,200. It's got an extra stop in there, so the mileage is off. Cargo Chief's got it 1066. Raycheck's got it 1315. They're at 1200. Vented van. I've been seeing a lot of vented van loads yesterday. So obviously there's some produce moving now in vans. Here we go. 2,800 to go from Manila, Arkansas to Belcamp, Maryland. So they're paying. That's actually pretty good. Let's see what kind of circumstances, if any, that they list. Oh, no extra stops listed or anything. But they are way above the average, so there's got to be something to it. Maybe it's because of where it's going. Yep, that's on the bottom side of Baltimore area, so yeah. So 40,000 pounds. What's the toll cost on this one? No toll cost. 20% is the, they call it a dispatch fee, but that's your carrier's percentage. You can put that in there. Looking at $1,635 after fuel and percentage for that load. More likely it's going to deliver Monday. Let's see. Ohio to Delmar, $288 a mile, $1,896. Chester, Virginia to Perrymill, Maryland, $287 a mile, only $571. St. Charles, is this St. Charles, Missouri? It's not till next week, though. April 5th, yeah. St. Charles, Missouri to Baltimore. They're at 2341, so they're above Cargo Chief there. 5,200 pounds. What's your toll cost on this one? $33. So not too bad. So anything that goes through or in or out of Baltimore, you're going to want more money. Because there's no telling how many out of route miles and how much time you're going to be on that load. So don't book anything tight. Because it's going to be hours to get around Baltimore until this. I mean, the bridge held 31 to 35,000 vehicles a day. And how many of them were trucks, So the whole demonstrating his English speaking skills. Sterling says, Merry Good Friday. The whole here it's Peterbilt Friday, a.k.a. Long Friday. Jackknife LOL. I was going to say flatbed's usually pretty good out of Baltimore if you have a TWIC card, but $1.35, I guess not. Looks like I'm not going to return a flatbed anytime soon. We went over that, Jackknife. We went over the most profiting area of flatbed, and it's not where you live. So I don't know, not to be cross, but flatbed should pick up in Baltimore because they have to dredge and cart off an entire bridge. That's going to be a huge project. Yeah, when they start salvaging those materials out of the water there. Yeah, there's definitely going to be. You're probably looking at 4 to 5 years to rebuild. I mean, it took 5 years to build the bridge in the first place. Now, granted, several of the pillars are still there, so that will shrink some time down. But the amount of cleanup, like what's going on in shipping, that YouTube channel had a really good video about the crash, how it happened, and the amount of investigation that has to happen. Like the company that owns the ship, the company that owns the company that owns the ship. Like there's like 12 different countries involved. Like the ship is from I forget where the ship was from, but the people on the ship were from India. And then it was actually a Japanese company that owned the ship, and it's a Maersk, so they got to get involved. And so their first priority was to get the victims out of the water, and then their second priority is trying to get pieces out of the water so the ships can go in and out. And then you've got containers that are tipped over, that are leaning on. I mean, it's just going to be a mess. And I think that one of the things that would be fascinating to watch is the salvage operation. And then they got to make sure that the ship is okay. They got to repair it. So it's going to be years. I mean, it's funny how in 30 seconds can cause years of problems. So bulk seed spuds should be moving now. By June, all the new crop will be in the ground. There you go. Mixer is a software that allows you to broadcast live in audio format while you're on YouTube Live. $9 a month if signed up for a year. Nice. Jackknife, I know agriculture industry here in Pennsylvania is freaking out about the bridge being out in Baltimore. I guess a lot of soybean, corn, and whatnot needs to get shipped out of there. Yes, a lot of agriculture does get shipped out of there. So, Hool says, I'm surprised Boggs isn't recommending Cairo tanking for Baltimore, the universal fix for everything else. It's southeast, mostly Mississippi right now. It's money. Cairo is slow right now, Hool. Too many companies sitting in their wallets during election season to know if Biden will continue to crater our nation. It's probably going to take a month before it's cleaned up, to be honest with you. Then it'll be about a year before they figure out what they're going to do. How long did it take for them to rebuild and clear that Sunshine Bay Bridge in Florida? I don't know. I don't remember. That port is also home to a few big-time salvage operations by luck. Oh, there you go. Man, if you're an underwater welder guy, you could probably make some, torch guy, you can probably make some really good money now. And they're going to rebuild the entire new bridge. It'll probably take 10 years, go way over budget. They're not going to use any of the old foundation from the old bridge. Now, I don't think it'll take 10 years, but didn't Biden just throw him some money, for a relief effort? So there's a sense of urgency with this. Before, when the bridge was being first built, it's like, yeah, that'll be cool. That'll be convenient. It's needed. But now it's like, holy crap, we rely on this thing. So they're gonna go fast. So my guess is it will be quicker than we expect, but longer than most people would like. How about that for a prediction? Gary Cook says, I wonder if Maryland will raise tolls on other tolls to pay for the bridge. I don't know. It's not just rebuilding. It has to be re-engineered. Re-engineering, yep. I'm not late. You're late. DIY. It would be nice if once this country would take some real good old American ingenuity action and complete a large project like this in less than a year or two, like China. Move to China. Jackknife. Should be able to ship out the bulk stuff from some of the Great Lake ports. Yeah, look, Virginia is going to have an uptick. Savannah's going to have an uptick, I just thought of this. How much of that bridge was copper? The tweakers in Baltimore are about to be scuba certified. Despite how many bad brokers are nowadays, working freight forwarding for a month, way more complex, charge after charge for not much more. Appreciate the simplicity of spot market pricing. This is true. So, all right. So, yeah, rates are, I'm seeing an uptick in some rates, definitely going into Maryland. $2,000 to go from Belgium, Wisconsin, Aberdeen. Oh, 2 loads were just added for Monday. Naperville, Illinois to Frederick, Maryland, $240 a mile. Let's take a look at one of these. Let's see what direct traffic's got going on. Direct traffic tends to post pretty low. And like clockwork, yep. Cargo Chiefs got at 2072. They're at 1650 for posted rate. That's even lower than Green Screen's lowest price there. And see, and you can do this. You can do Naperville, Illinois to Frederick, Maryland. Let's go to market rates here. Illinois. And what was that? That was Baltimore, right? Baltimore. It's going to be the Baltimore market. And again, these averages go out the window because of the circumstances. 1811. Cargo Chiefs got it at 2078, $2,078, $283 a mile. Historically, in 2020, that was paying $1,500. In 21, it was paying $2,400, almost $1,000 more. And then 349, it was I'm sorry, in 22 it was 1,000 more, and then 23 it went right back down below 2020 level, and then 2024 is meeting in the middle there. So this is based on 30 reports. So, and the higher this number is, the more likely, it's like any averages, right? But look at this. Look at these pickup. Like, this is one of the cool things about this tool, is that you can see Baltimore to anywhere 62, or actually Naperville to Baltimore, there's 3 loads. Right back to Naperville, there's 3 loads. So you can centralize your search on those 6 loads, and then maybe create a back and forth situation. Now, if you reverse this, let's see what the rate is. A lot, considerably less. $1.34 a mile, $9.74 on the rate check. Let's see what Cargo Chiefs got it at. $12.02. So significant difference. And my guess, there's a lot of, but look at the numbers: 4 and 3, 75 to 80. So it's equal amount of loads out of each location. So, but you got to look at the rates. So there's that. Now we go back to van. Sterling says, right now nobody's taking the lead on the disaster. Politics ruins everything. Politics is the theater of government. Hool says China can't build stuff. Tofu, Drake, they're building, and infrastructure ages like milk. The worst sound you could possibly ever hear. I'm from the government. I'm here to help. DIY, you need to be on early. Similar topic to your post-Matt's live show, which was excellent. 7 years to build the one in Florida. Wow. DIY says, thanks. Live show today at 11 a.m. with Paul from Freight Connect. There you go. So everybody check out DIY and go to his channel. Cool trucking. If that sleeping giant would wake up 6 months tops to rebuild. I don't know. Those containers on that ship, was they leaving? Or, they were leaving. They were leaving. They were exporting. So they're on their way out. Shouldn't we all be questioning green screen market rates? Why, you ask? In YouTube, we use green acres to mask, hide, or disguise our background. Green screens. What is green screen rates hiding? Kidding. It's AI, man. What is AI hiding? They're hiding our demise. All right, so let's take a look at Missouri. Let's see what's coming in and out of Missouri here. West Plains, Webb City, Albany, Sikeston. Sikeston, that's going to be your generic soda, like your Walmart brand, Sam's Cola. Kansas City to Olathe, $14 a mile, man. $252. Neosho to Reynoldsburg, Lamar. So let's take a look at this Springfield to Kingman, Arizona, Worldwide Express. They're at $201 a mile. The average going out to Arizona out of here has been kind of lower. Yeah, they're at 26. Cargo she's got at 28. $12.91 on the miles. Let's see what it's a decent rate per day. But getting out of Phoenix can be the challenge. Actually, let's go back to this. Or get back to Springfield, I mean. So if we do this, how many loads are going right back to Missouri? Just one. But Kingman anywhere, there's 36. Let's take a look at those. And the majority of them are going to be California, Colorado, out of Las Vegas. And you're not going to see rates that are going to light up the world. And if you're not certifying California anymore, you're kind of screwed because that's where most of them are going. And if you avoid Texas, like these Tolleson, the Lancaster that are posted by Pepsi, how many is this actual? Do they actually have these 8 loads, or do they have one load posted 8 times? Now, this Arizona Salt Lake, that would be your, but look at the deadhead on that. Tolleson is 161 miles. And good luck getting a hold of somebody. Now, I do have them favorited because there was a time where there was 2 different Pepsis posting. So I favorited one because they actually had the loads that I wanted, whereas the other one, they didn't. So I kept getting them mixed up. So I had to favorite one of them, which is what that heart means. The Alkin Highway took 6 months. Pop-Tart, what's up? You missed everything and nothing at the same exact time. Certainly, most of the containers on the front of a ship are empty or very light. The NTSB said there's like 700 tons of hazmat on the ship, too, and they're already putting up booms to contain any of the spillage from the front containers. And diesel, right? So... or fuel, whatever they use. I think they use diesel. So, all right, let's take a look at Reefer since DIY's in here. He's probably interested in that. Look at New Mexico light up. Texas, Washington. So let's take a look at New Mexico. Let's see what's coming out of New Mexico. Here we got Santa Fe to Sacramento, Pennsylvania, not California. $31.75, $1.69 a mile. Let's take a look at this load here real quick. This picks up next Wednesday. 12 or 13% below cost per day. Cargo Chiefs got it at 34. They're at 31, the posted rate. 44,000 pounds, no information. So you're looking at $267 in tolls. So after fuel and tolls and your carrier's cut, if you're at 80/20, you're looking at profiting 58 cents a mile or $1,990 or $311 per day. And then here, this is pretty cool. No, not profitable. To cover your daily cost, the trip rate should be $33.39, $1.78 a mile. The base rate for this load is $31.75, $1.69 a mile. So it tells you that this load sucks. So, look, you're going to do a couple of loads below your costs, but to do it all the time or for long miles, that's hard. So here's Roswell, New Mexico to Fort Myers, Florida, $254 a mile, $4,200. Let's take a look at this one. It picks up Monday. 85% above cost per day. They're at 42. Cargo Chief's got it at 46. Negative 10. No tolls. Obviously. Now, you're going into Florida, so you're going to want to negotiate higher anyways because you're going to take your hit out of there. And then you turn around and you see this Roswell to California. It's $1.63. They're not paying you to go to California. I don't think they ever will. Which is why when you open the DAP board or any low board, 1, 2, 3, truck stop, or whatever, majority of the loads that they can't cover are going into California, yet they're not upping the rates on that. This one picks up on Easter Sunday from Roswell going to Manchester, Tennessee, 34 degrees. Doesn't say what the product is, 42,000 pounds. See, this is the one I would do, but I would be suspicious of an Easter evening delivery or pickup, I mean. So that's what's going on in New Mexico. Now, if you look at inbound New Mexico, you should be seeing some good rates. Like here, Henderson, Nevada to Los Lunas, New Mexico, $338. Los Lunas, that's going to be Walmart. Sterling says 53 Reefer, Denver to Seattle. All right, let's do that. Denver. Obviously, I don't know how to type. Denver. Colorado to Seattle. Must be 8 o'clock. My YouTube notifications are going nuts. No loads available. So we got to expand our reach here. 200 to 200. There ain't none. You can click on the search, and then it won't have exact loads, but it'll have similar ones. Like here's Denver to Portland. I did have it for today, so let's edit this search for. It is Friday, so let's do. Well, that's any date, so let's do. Let's do the next 5 days. Apply. No loads available. Denver to Portland. $2,100, $1.69 a mile. Direct connect. Aurora to Ridgefield. And then Fort Collins to Clackamas, Oregon. So what you can also do is Denver to Seattle, so we can do that in the market rates. Let's see what they generally run for. I love this new tool. I put Reefer on here. Doink. Get rate. So average is about 201 a mile, but notice there's hardly any reports. Like there's no information. This isn't. Yeah, so there's not a whole lot of loads out of Denver, obviously, on the 123. It's been as low as 25.10 back in 2020 and as high as 31.75 last year. 33.38 on 21. So thanks for the super chat there, Sterling. Yeah, that bridge was a hazmat. Yeah, because you can't go in the tunnels with it. So Sterling. Red's good, right? I want to go to Wyoming if I want to score some high-paying freight in the reefer game. CDN says, if a carrier does not factor, what website or service are carriers using to check broker or shipper credit? DIY says they should be using Credit Safe. Link in all my videos and website. There you go. It is. It really is, Sterling. That's a beautiful run. All the mountains, Denver to Seattle. That's one of my favorites. It's really nice through that part of America. Yeah, it helps make up for the lack of money. It is Good Friday in Canada. Most businesses are closed. Seems strange. Can affect USA Freight when Easter long weekend. Potentially less warehouse transfers required. Yeah, I was seeing that yesterday. See, we talked about it first thing in this live feed about there was a lot of loads picking up yesterday that weren't delivering until Monday that were 1 and 2 day transit loads. Like loads that delivered Monday should have been picked up on Friday, that kind of deal. And so when the market is like it is, they can do that. You know, it's a good way to reduce costs. Hey, everybody's got Good Friday off, you know, to reduce your costs if you're not urgent to ship anything. That's just my take on it. What do I know? So, but, and then I was also looking at volumes, and these were pretty low. These numbers here. It was like, wow, this looks like a 5 p.m. national load count numbers, not 9 a.m. Like looking at Illinois, more out than in. Indiana, 349, 233 out. Kansas, only 81 loads coming out of Kansas on the dashboard. Massachusetts got even, 119, 118. Missouri, 285 in, 184 out. Wow. These are some really bad numbers. Ohio, 507 in, 462 out. So the Midwest is dead. Dead. Texas, 1297 in, 2321 out. Let's look at Georgia. 743 in, 830 out. So if you're doing a long load for the weekend, you don't care about Easter and you want to run, head to the southeast. North Carolina, 499 in, 315 out. That's going to soften Georgia up. Same thing with South Carolina. 275 in, 303 out. These are horrible numbers for Friday morning. Yeah. Now, let's do this here. I did this earlier. Let's put in flatbeds and decks standard. Look at these numbers. Alabama, 610 in, 2471 out. Arkansas, 576, 1074 out. Florida, 1383 in, 1007 out. Georgia, 1389 in, 1768 out. So obviously there's more flatbed shipping than van right now on the DAT board. So if we go back to 123 here, let's take a look at flatbed and step deck on here. See where the hot states are. All throughout here in Oregon and California and Maryland. Maryland's got a lot coming outbound. 144 in, 429 out on Maryland. How's Maryland reflect on here? 256 in, 314 out. So 123 has actually got more flatbed freight coming out of Maryland than DAT does. Mississippi, 235 in, 1032 out. North Carolina, 910 in, 1014 out. Oregon, 166 in, 694 out. So if we go to 123, they're at 45 in and 357 out with 14 intrastate. Any loads going to Key West, Florida? I don't know. Let's take a look. Let's go to Florida. Let's do inbound. I've only seen one time a load going to Key West. And that was literally like 2 weeks ago. Yeah, I don't see anything going to Key West. It's all Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Miami. Miami's about the closest you're going to get. That's in flatbed. Let's do this for van. Let's throw in van, and we'll throw in reefer. We'll have all four platforms here. Then we click on Florida. Cape Canaveral, Graceville, Panama City, Miami. Nothing saying Key West. It helps if I put in the inbound, right? Hollywood. A lot of stuff mid-Florida. A lot of stuff going to Leesburg, Plant City, Jacksonville. Nothing. Come to Raleigh, and I'll feed you some chicken fried steaks and some mashed potatoes and gravy. Some of this yummy, yummy. Pale Rider says, Sterling, call me today. You don't want to go to Miami. It's bad down there. Oh, I know. I only had one driver request for me to book him a load to Miami. He's like, hey, man, get me to Miami. I'm like, okay. That was an easy payday. He goes, I said, you realize it's not a good idea to go down there? He's like, I know. Just do what I told you. He was kind of rude. Okie dokie. So, anyways, that's all the platforms right there. Let's see if Tanker's in here. Let's take Tanker in and get the rest out. Doink. There's not a lot of tank freight in the spot market, people. Let's take a look at this Alabama. There's one load, Theodore, Alabama to Mississippi, 209 a mile, $750. California. Let's look at California. I'm gonna use that for the screenshot for the thumbnail. Fresno to Aberdeen, Idaho. Of course, they probably have no information on averages. 863 miles, so they want it picked up and delivered the next day. So, yeah, there's your thumbnail. Let's look at Jersey. One load coming out of Jersey going to Des Moines, $1.56 a mile for 41,000 pounds. Picks up on Wednesday. Marty says car hauler. All right. Auto. A little bit green. Let's take a look at Missouri here. Got a couple of plants here in Missouri. Springfield to Hattiesburg. Calais Sufka is the contact for Sherway. Springfield to Hattiesburg. So who knows what this is? Probably auction or CarMax or something like that. So no posted rates. Oh, here's one. Joplin to Alexandria, Virginia, $555. So LTL. So the 2019 Mini Cooper. So a lot of the stuff. Obviously, you're going to piece a bunch of cars together. There's a particular brokerage. This is another thing that's not really prominent on the spot market. Let's look at Texas. Sort by the highest paying rate, posted rate. $2,300.67 to go from Abilene to Westlake. Let's take a look at that one. 16,000 pounds. No information, so you don't know how many cars this is. From what I know, cars generally pay a piece rate per mile. So like each car pays so much a mile. So when you see the big car haulers that have like 8 cars on them, they're getting so much for each car, because each car is probably more than likely a lot of the cars it's multi-stop. So Sterling says my trucking dreams are ruined. I'm going to become a ship captain. Send me to Miami and don't ask what's in the trailer, right? I went to the 595 truck stop with the mother trucker, and they robbed me there because we don't use the fuel cards. They just debit cards. And they charged me an extra $12 just to fuel, or $17, can't remember. You don't use fuel cards at a fuel stop? That's weird. How lame is that? How dare you get fuel at a truck stop? Oh, that's weird. All right. I think we're done here. Guys, thanks for watching. 48065 if you want to check out the 123 low board for free for 30 days. Check it out. They'll give everything for free, so you can check out all the tools. It's a lot of the new drivers new to the spot market really enjoy it. I know I enjoyed it when I first started. But it was very quickly that I gained relationships with brokers, and I barely needed a low board. So there was a time where I didn't have 123 low board because I didn't need it. But it's great to have that tool in your pocket, because the more tools you have, just like if you're repairing a house or whatever, the more tools you got, the more chance of success, as long as you know how to use the tools. And 1, 2, 3 makes it easy. So, yeah, 48065. Thank you, Tolga. There you go. CDN says the goal is build your businesses and services so a bigger carrier buys you out. I know somebody that's their exact goal, but building something that's worth buying, that's difficult in the spot market world. You got to have assets, you got to have contracts, you got to have a reason for a company to buy you out. Like, I don't see anybody, like, I've seen bigger companies buy a certain company just so they can get their contracts in there. There's a Prime did that a couple of times. There was a shipper here in Springfield they couldn't get in until they bought the company out that was in there, and then now all of a sudden they were in there. And they're like, "Ha, full to you." So, anyways, most things are not worth buying. So, with that being said, strength for today, hope for tomorrow. Aggression turns to screws. We'll see you Monday. Have a great weekend. If you're working, have a profitable weekend. If you're not working, enjoy your home time. Enjoy your Easter. And until next time, peace.